my name is Matt. Just kidding. Now today we are going to talk about something that has come along a very... This is not the worst thing you've seen in the entire internet, I'm sure. And today I'm going to talk about, this is also something that a pal of mine known as Josh Bennett has suggested, so welcome back to the Forgotten Corner, by the way. It took me quite a while to do this. This newest review is going to focus on the Warner Brothers animated films. Well, sure, you may remember films like these, the Lego Batman movie and the Lego movie, but these other ones you probably won't remember. Well, at least one of them. You probably remember this right here. Hang on, let me just sort this out. Give me a second. Hi, sorry about that there. I just fixed it. So today we're going to be talking about the Warner Brothers animated failures, but also remembered as cult classics. The box office failures of Warner Brothers animated films. And so let's start this off with the beginning. This is just bringing up a lot of stuff. Space Jam is basically considered to be the biggest marketing ploy of the 90s. It is just completely dated, but it still is really... It's just a product of the times, kind of like as you keep a time capsule. The films that represent the 80s, like The Breakfast Club and all that stuff. And then basically the stuff that represents the 90s. This, and also Empire Records, which is also done by the exact same company. Space Jam, I think, is actually just an alright film. It's definitely nothing groundbreaking, but I still think it's actually pretty good. Other stuff happened, like Quest for Camelot, which I consider to be the worst animated film I've seen in my entire existence. So yeah, that was not really remembered. Space Jam is probably remembered as being a big marketing ploy. Then there was Cats Don't Dance. I think Cats Don't Dance is an actually good film. Check it out. Although I can't really buy it in this region. Flaws. Well, unless basically Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers International could figure out what to do with this. Actually, why haven't they done that? Anyways, then basically we've got this little cult classic, The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant was directed by Brad Bird. You may remember he directed The Incredibles. And the film was basically considered to be a box office flop because there was not enough marketing. You'll see a common flow with something about marketing in the Warner Brothers lot of animated films. There is also another film. Yeah, yippee. Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Batman Mask of the Phantasm is considered to be an absolute masterpiece and basically considered to be the best Batman movie there is. Up there with the original Batman film and also Nolan's Dark Knight. Although people are saying that basically Begins is also a really good film. But yeah. But basically what I'm trying to say is that basically Batman Mask of the Phantasm is possibly my favourite as well. This film basically is a masterpiece and definitely was a box office flop because it did not get enough marketing. That's kind of something that pops up a lot. So basically, after the Iron Giant flopped, Cats Don't Dance flopped, and basically Batman Mask of the Phantasm flopped, they kept on doing other stuff. Then they did Osmosis Jones, which was an absolute critical failure and box office flop. No one liked it, and basically I just think it's mediocre. But I will say that basically it does actually have some really interesting stuff, and it is definitely a product of the 90s kind of. I feel like it's kind of like a product of the 90s that was gone too far and went into the 2000s. It definitely shows that we weren't really as good as we were back then, and we still aren't very good nowadays. So then after that, this was also something that my friend Josh suggested me to review as well on the Forgotten Corner, Looney Tunes Back in Action. I think it's a good film. I actually think that Joe Dante definitely was given a lot of crap from studios because they wanted more Space Jam than the original Looney Tunes. I have a big problem with studios because they seem to be trying to There's films like Superman Returns, which did not get a test screening. They're too focused on money than the actual product. That's especially, don't get me started on Illumination, if you know what I mean with those goddamn Minion movies. But then basically after this film flopped as well, they decided to close the 2D department, well, their animated department. And basically they just started distributing films like Adbully and that also really good Penguins film, Happy Feet. After this, they moved on to something else. 2014 rolled around and basically Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who I've already talked about because they were the creators of Clone High, basically created the biggest box office hit of 2014, the Lego Movie. This film was a major hit, basically grabbing our attention, and basically it was basically being called as the great film. The greatest film, even. And then basically what happened next was tons of stuff. There was a spin-off back in 2017 known as the Lego Batman Movie. There was also another one called the Lego Ninjago Movie. I remember seeing all the Lego movies except for Lego Ninjago. Apparently that film flopped, but it kind of seems like it was going to anyway. The problem with the Lego Ninjago, people remember Batman because he was a part of the film. Lego Ninjago, on the other hand, it's not really remembered. Ninjago, he was not just brought up in the film. He was not a main character. The Ninjago stuff was never brought up in the original Lego movie. So that's kind of why it flopped. The studio that basically did it, known as Warner Animation Group, decided to do another project named Storks. I like Storks. Good film. Check it out. And there was also Smallfoot, which I actually think is a really interesting film. Sure, the musical numbers are kind of bland, and basically having James Gordon do everything nowadays in an animated film is just kind of boring and drying out. Cat's bombed, he's going back to doing his Gavin and Stacey stuff, I'm okay with that. And finally, the Lego Movie 2, which apparently flopped at the box office. The kind of reason I also bring it up a lot more that something that we will not get another Lego movie like this anymore, so yeah, Universal could have bought it. But now basically the newest film that came out, known as Scoob, that actually isn't really getting a good rap. I have to admit, first viewing, I thought it was okay, but then when I rewatched it, it is really dated. It's just embarrassing and dated, and basically, there is a few good things. For one, I do like basically Dynomutt and like Blue Falcon, or even though he does dab. That's just gonna date his Queensborough. And Dick Dastardly, who was really good in the film. But the rest of the characters, it just didn't feel like a Scooby-Doo film. The references just are gonna be dated, and basically they're not timeless. That's how you do a reference, right? You make something that's timeless, not during the time and what's trending. I really like trending. But basically, there was also other stuff. In the podcast episode where we talk about, well, stuff, one of the episodes of me and Josh's podcast, we mentioned that basically Teen Titans Go flopped at the box office, so we couldn't go see it. I saw it at the cinemas and I loved it. I thought it was really good to spend on superheroes. Sure, there was musical numbers, and I totally was like this the whole time. But I will say one thing though, it was really good. Flopped at the box office. There wasn't really that much marketing. And especially with the Lego Movie 2, there was not even that much marketing anyway. What's this? A trailer? Then another trailer? Then another trailer. You need to put more marketing and thought into your films. Unless they just flop. That's the problem with the Warner Brothers animated films. They flopped because they were not like that. This right here is an example of a flop, box office bomb, and success. It basically just proves that Warner Brothers isn't really doing their stuff right. Scoob will probably be dated, and basically they're doing another one known as Tom and Jerry. I'm scared for that one because they may actually screw up some major stuff. I did actually hear that we're going to distribute Fritz the Cat. I would actually have to admit that would have been really cool to see a new version of Fritz the Cat, because that would be absolutely brilliant. So yeah, this is the latest Forgotten Corner episode. I hope Warner Brothers learns that basically they need to put more into the thought and marketing for the film, and not just basically make a few trailers, a few TV spots, a few posters, release them separate, and only just do one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. I'm not saying that basically it should be over marketed though. It shouldn't be like tons of marketing, like tons of it. But basically you can't escape it. Well, maybe that did kind of work for Batman, but still. The problem is that basically the studio just isn't really doing anything with the film. They need to get the film. They need to basically release tons of posters, tons of trailers, and basically keep people invested. Lego Movie 2 flopped because no one went to go and see it. No one people thought that basically they enjoyed it, but after people said they enjoyed it, but not that many people saw it because basically no one knew it was coming out. So maybe learn about that one of us. If you want to keep your animation working, you need to show people more. So yeah, this is the latest Forgotten Corn episode. The next episode I will be talking about the failure of two famous directors. They basically directed a homage to classic cinema, but not the kind of cinema like, well, some of the classics like black and white, more of a 70s style. And I'm going to cover that next time. So yeah, this is the Forgotten Corner, and ending jump scare to basically add something into it. So yeah.